Okay, so now the next macro that we're going to be doing here is one that's going to take a selection like we have here and remove all of the extra space between the words, all the extra space, all the space after the last word here, and all the space before. All right, so it's pretty common occurrence. And what normally would happen is if you didn't have a macro to do this with, there's a couple ways you can fix this. The first way would be to use the trim function formula. But what you'd have to do is you have to go to the next column here, click over here, type in something like equal tr. We'd have trim, all right, and say we want to trim this, all right. So what it does, it gives us then that over there, you know, where we put the formula, all right, and then we go ahead and we copy that down, and there it would go. That'd be fine. Then what you'd have to do is you have to take that, all right, and because we don't really need this anymore, you'd have to take this now, select it, right click it, and go ahead and do a copy, and then right click it again and do a 1, 2, 3, and that would remove the formula. And then of course you would then you could go ahead and delete this. All right, so it's a little bit of work. All right, the other way to do this would be to go in there and, you know, get yourself a new column and type in the way that you want that to be in column A. So in this case, we type in something like Great Lakes Food Market, all right? And then once we've done that, then you would go over to the Data tab, and you'd click on to this Flash Fill button here, and that would take care of that. Now, that doesn't produce any kind of a formula, but you'd still then have to go ahead and then go back and delete this, all right? So just still a little bit of work, all right? Not a lot of work. So we're going to create a macro to actually do this, okay? And the advantage of the macro is going to be that it can do it right in place of this. In other words, it'll convert this to where it has no extra space in there, right? So the code that we're going to be using is over here. And all it is, here we have the name of it, of the macro that we're going to have. And then we've got each of the commands in here. You know, notice, as usual, at the bottom, it's ending the subroutine. So that's what you always have at the end of your macros. But you get sort of a sense of, look at the range and in that selection, right? And then we have this thing here called trim, and that trim is basically telling it that we're going to be, you know, knocking out all that extra space in there. But, you know, technically, we don't really have a command like this. I mean, we had what you saw those last two examples that I showed you how to fix it, but we really don't have anything built in. So this is going to allow us to have that. So what we'll do then is we'll take this, we'll select that, right click it and hit copy, right? And then what we'll do is we'll go into our developer tab. We'll go over to Visual Basic, all right? And there is our last macro. Now we can just stay right there, and we'll just do a right click and paste it. And that will then put a little divider in there. And now this is your next macro. So you can put hundreds of macros, thousands if you wanted to, in this little modular sheet, you know, one after the other, but they're all going to be nicely separated. Though, again, you might have so many and you want to kind of keep them organized for some reason, then you can go ahead and make your additional modules for that, right? Now we're all done there, so we'll go ahead and close this up. And we'll go back to our original here. Now watch this. All we have to, oh, and by the way, let's also put it into our macros tab over here. So how we're going to do that? We're going to go back into File, go back to Options, right? Customize the ribbon, and then what? Then we'll go over to changing this list to macros, and then we'll go find our macro. And it's probably down towards the bottom here. Yeah, there's our trim SP right there. So I'll take that guy, and let me just first of all get this in my developer here. I mean, not developer, I'm sorry. In the macros here. Get that area open up. And what we'll do then is take that and drag it underneath our other one that we had in there. There we go. And then while we're here, we'll go to new rename group. And we'll call this one just trim SP. We'll leave the same thing in there. Pick an icon, hit OK, hit OK. And then if we go back into macros, I should say, there's our trim SP. So now, look at this. We select that range, just like that. Click on the trim SP, and voila. That's pretty slick. I've got a copy of it here. I'll do it again here. So there it is. Select the range, trim it, done. Again, I think it's a pretty cool little macro there. Hopefully you can use it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care.